Hello, hello. Getting a little late setting up today. That's okay. Finally got these transferred. At the last minute, I decided to transfer a crap load of 4K images, and they don't transfer that fast. So got them. All good. We all ready. I hope you guys like the first two presentations. We're just kind of casually going through a lot of the material, showing that the uniformitarian perspective, the establishment science, establishment archaeology is absolute BS. Just like establishment media, establishment Hollywood, establishment politics, it's all BS, every bit of it. We already know. It's one of my favorite Archaix shirts. I wore it not the last video, but I think the video before that. Color is just so vibrant. Yeah, that's a sales pitch. All right, let's see here. So I did make an announcement on, I think I did it on YouTube as well. On Twitter, I'm going to reach out to Pierre Sabac. He's authored a couple really interesting books, but I kind of want to do a roundtable discussion. I like Pierre to be involved. Also, I'm asking you guys, who else would you like to see in that discussion? Just four of us chopping it up about, our best evidence or our opinions on, could we possibly already be experiencing an AI generated reality? And if so, when was the switch? Because the switch would have had to have been would have had to have involved our avatars at some point when we went to sleep. In one world, we woke up in another, convinced it was the same. So this is something I'm looking to I'm wanting to get into. So let's see. But yeah, some of you said David Icke, and some of you said that guy that's got that 200 IQ. And listen, man, he's gonna have to show me he's got a 200 IQ. I do not take claims like that, but with a grain of salt. You guys already know. All these people, pseudo experts, all these people that are supposed to be authorities in their field. You guys know I do videos. I dissect that stuff, and once you provide a good analysis for multiple dimensions or multiple vantage points, yeah, you see that most of these tenets fall apart. They're no good. So somebody in the field boasting about a 200 IQ, all that's good, but you got to show me. You got to show me, because anybody who is still purporting to believe in the NASA psyops, that still wants to date things in a uniformitarian perspective, you don't have a 200 IQ. You have 200 points of being brainwashed. So gonna have to show me. He may be a good fit, but he's gonna have to show me. The David, somebody mentioned David Icke, and I don't. I think David Icke is a voice unto himself, and I think he might be turned off by the whole invitation of just being, someone on a panel, as opposed to, because he's never been invited to Archaix before. I mean, he has an open invitation. I've never formally invited him, but if he ever contacted me and said, "Yeah, man, I'd like to chop it up," yeah, well, most definitely. But he's been in the field doing his thing decades longer than myself. I was a very quiet researcher getting books published since 2006, but I wasn't known at all until I did a YouTube channel. So he's been around for a long time. He probably wouldn't want to be in a panel. Someone mentioned Logan of Decode Your Reality. That's a really good suggestion, because Logan, his thing is gematria, and gematria is just evidence that we do live in a mathematical construct. So I can say that's a pretty good suggestion there. Yeah, Billy has a high IQ too, and you see, we're not impressed with that 140 at all, at all. I'm just looking over the chat. Thank you, moderators, for being here. Man, we got some juicy stuff today. Man, let's see. All right. I've done quite a few videos with Jordan. I have. He and I get along just fine. I really only have one other experience with someone who I can't see when I'm talking to him. I have no idea what they look like. I don't know. Jordan maintains his privacy by using a little wall, and that's fine. That's his business. But one other individual that I had pretty much let into my fold, ended up trying to gain all kinds of commercial advantages off Archaix and off my brand. I didn't even know, man. Built a whole website, was selling merchandise, doing all kinds of things, and and then got an attitude about it when confronted. So no, man, that's the only other person that I had in my, you guys know. I'm not gonna name him. I'm not gonna name him, but he's somebody that I had done videos with in the past, and he too didn't show his face. So I mean, you know what? Jordan's all right. We may do videos in the future, but not for a round table. For a round table, I want everybody to be seen. Whoever's in the discussion. All right, solo layout, press shift 1. I don't know if y'all see that. Do y'all see that on the screen, or is it just me? Because I'm not really. Why these things have. Okay, it was just me. This software's got little pop-ups that I don't really like. All right, let's get started. Let me make sure I see what you guys see. This is the third video in this series, and there will be more. I just wanted to kick it off with 3 in a row, 3 days in a row. No doubt. I'm not ignoring Sabrina Wallace. We have a mutual friend, and I even extended an invitation for her to come on the channel, and our mutual friend says she doesn't really do interviews, really not about that. He even sent her some of my books, and then she does an interview with this other guy. So listen, man, that's all her choice. That's all her choice. Yeah. Don't be throwing her name up there like I haven't sent the invitation, because I have. All right. Hello, Allie. All right, I'm seeing what you're doing. Oh, look at that. 138 pounds. Man, like clockwork. You're a beast. You need to fly to Texas, come hang out on the Archaix library. You got 138 pounds to be throwing out like that all the time. You need to use some of that, get a plane ticket, and come out here and kick it. I don't want anything from you. Let's see. All right. I see everybody's here. Everybody's here. So in these two presentations, we've shown quite a bit, but we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna go deeper. I'm gonna share my screen right now. There is no reason to delay. Also, if you guys don't know, there's a lot of new people in my community. If you don't know, we have an AI search feature on archaix.com. If there's any topics that you're looking for, things that we have talked, because I tell in these two prior presentations and in this one right now, I've told you many times that look, I've already done a video on this, and I cited the sources. I show you where I got all this information from. So if you're ever curious about anything you hear me say, and I say, hey guys, I'm not going to beat y'all up with this again. My Archaix veterans have already heard this in 20 videos. If you're really interested in it, you're new to the channel, then just go to archaix.com and go to the resources page. On the resources page, scroll down, and you'll come up on an amazing AI search feature for all things Archaix. If I have ever said it at any time in almost 1,000 videos, it will pull up the exact timestamps and all the videos where I talked about that topic. Yeah. I know my moderators can post the link to the AI search feature. Here's one of the books we'll be looking at right here. Mysteries of the World. We're just making fun of uniformitarianism while at the same time educating you as to the real information and where it can be found. Mysteries of the world. We got here. Some of these need to be deal. So, Tiermes, I don't know how to say this. The Stone City. It's in Spain. This is in northern Spain. It's not something you hear about a lot. Maybe some YouTubers want to pick up this topic and research it. You could put out a good video tour about it. But this place is really an anomaly. This is in Spain. And the Romans took it over like 100 years BC, something like that. But it's much older than that. For a long time, it's under Muslim occupation. But the Romans took it over like 98 BC. Huge blocks, like Heliolithic. They don't really look Technolithic to me. These look Heliolithic. But what's crazy about it, look at these tracks. Even archaeologists are baffled because this site has tracks going in all different directions, as if there were wheeled mechanisms that were used here, but it's not a mine. This wasn't a mine. And they don't really know what exactly would have been used here. So we're looking at all the materials that remained behind. We don't know what kind of destruction or cataclysm or rebuilding projects, had materials moved from here to somewhere else. We're looking at what's been left behind. But in this city in Spain, which appears to be Heliolithic because whoever mined the smaller stone didn't take the giant blocks. Because this is what we have. This is why so many archaeological sites are not intact unless they are buried in some type of volcanic resurfacing or diluvian or some type of diluvium, or if because of liquefaction. Many ancient sites are buried in liquefaction because the surface materials vibrate at a frequency that liquefies them or appears to be a liquid. And they lose their solidarity and their cohesion with each other. And the topsoils will vibrate and then fill every nook and cranny of an area. And then you get people coming around that find Göbekli Tepe and say, oh man, because it's 10 foot deep, it's 10,000 years old. It's so stupid. Could have been a simple earthquake buried all that area. We know this from so many other ancient sites around the world. But this right here is fascinating because of these tracks. So we kind of need some boots on. Well, somebody, 2236, somebody get a 1010 on Paul Cook and get Paul Cook over here, man, to where does it almost said Turgovist, but that's Vlad Dracul. This place here, somebody needs to get Paul Cook over here to Tiermes, the Stone City. Tell him to contact me and I'll send him the coordinates. But we need some boots on the ground to figure out what these tracks are about. That's what we need. 10-4, the one tucks. You got a 10-10 on a Paul Cook? Yeah, man. Go easy, Tigers. I like Paul. Yeah, this is pretty interesting stuff here. Something to check out. Remember, our world is not what you think. Here's one of the images that kind of floated around YouTube. A lot of YouTubers pick up on it. TikTokers pick, especially these ridiculous TikTok videos. Oh my God. I can't even mimic those guys. They got their heads floating around. They're looking at somebody back there and they're nodding like they just know the truth. And somebody's back there showing something and they're showing a crane. Man, Stonehenge was built in 1942. Look right here, 1942. They put Stonehenge together. Look how old those stones are. It is historically documented that most of Stonehenge fell apart in 1797 because of an earthquake, and it wasn't the first time. But finally, in the 1940s, you get these cranes together and they start putting these dolmens back together. And then you got a TikToker started a rage, and then 200 YouTube videos all verified it. And now you got a large segment of the population believing Stonehenge didn't know. That's one of my criticisms with my lunch break. You know what I mean? My lunch break, he's got some pretty good material. I really don't know nothing about him. But when he affirmatively declared that Stonehenge was fake and that it's not old, it was recently put together, that's absolute bullshit. Right here in the Archaix library, I've got books going back to the 1600s that show pictures of Stonehenge that was already a ruined affair back then. And when Sir Norman Lockyer studied Stonehenge in 1901 and published the book in 1902, in the past I said Sir Isaac Newton. It was a mistake. In one of my videos like 5 years ago, I was just talking too fast, like I'm doing now. But it was Sir Norman Lockyer in 1901 that did the research and determined that Stonehenge is oriented so for some reason to draw attention to where the sun is going to rise in the month of May. And he didn't know why. We know why. Archaix veterans know what's up with the merry month of May, but Sir Norman Lockyer didn't. But even in Sir Norman Lockyer's time, he said the attrition, the wear on Stonehenge was terrible. But he did a bunch of tests, and he come to find out, he published that Stonehenge was re-erected in 1680 BC. How in the hell did this man in 1901 get that accurate? How? Archaix veterans, when was the Ogygian deluge that toppled Stonehenge? Stonehenge 2? 1687 BC. So saying that Stonehenge was re-erected after it had been toppled in 1680 BC, that's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that he could reach back 27 centuries and declare that. Sir Norman Lockyer did that. So, Newgrange. I was telling you guys in one of the previous Enigmatic Earth videos that the UK has more evidence of a continually inhabited infrastructure than anywhere else in the world. Newgrange took sophistication to build this. It doesn't matter if it's dilapidated and falling apart now. The sophistication required to make Newgrange in Ireland is incredible, but it's not the only place. Here's the entrance. Here's these swirls we find in vapor canopy art right here. So, in the megaliths and all that, but Ireland, Cornwall, Wales, all of England, Scotland, the Isle of Man, they have evidence of this ancient infrastructure. And it's not just Jason of Archaix telling you this. In establishment archaeology, it is well known that all these things were built in the 3rd millennium BC. So here's Avebury. It's ancient. It's ancient. Here's Avebury. Same place, the United Kingdom. Here's Silbury Hill. Same place, United Kingdom. As a matter of fact, an excavation in the 1990s, they excavated it here in the 1990s and determined that this was actually a chalk pyramid made of chalk blocks. Just covered in earth and deal. It's 130 foot. It doesn't look like it. It's 130 foot tall. Yeah, I guess you can see some of that chalk coming through it, all that white. So the Glozell runes, Glozell, whatever. These are interesting to me because of the controversy that they had initiated. So you have a lot of resistance in mainstream archaeology for good reason against Graham Hancock and Andrew Collins and Robert Bauval and Robert Schoch. These guys are all promoting this younger Dryas impact theory, and the Sphinx is more ancient than it actually is, and the information that they use is comical. And I have found some academics that have even added more to the table than I have. I didn't realize that there was other arguments out there in the field showing why all this is wrong. And we're going to get to that. Those are in later pictures. But in this right here, these are clay tablets that have been found in they haven't been able to interpret what this is. I got to sneeze. Hold on. Excuse me. So the location is in France. The problem is the original discoverers, because of the stratum, because of the depth of where they were found, and because of Neolithic artifacts, they automatically assume that this was 8,000 BC. And this is all these things like Göbekli Tepe and all the Tepe sites, the Huyuk sites, they're always throwing 8,000 BC, and it's because of Miriam Leakey. This woman invented this dumb system of dividing cultures in their chronology between pre-pottery Neolithic and Neolithic. And it's just dumb because it's not uniform anywhere in the world. You can't apply that standard everywhere in the world. You can only apply it to the one culture you're studying right now. Because you can't assume that pottery was suddenly invented in one spot and then everybody else in the world knew about it. It wasn't an internet age. But this is exactly how anthropology and archaeology have the system set up. So every single time somebody finds something and they see evidence of artifacts and they see evidence of all of human provenance, pewter bowls and arrowheads and in this instance clay tablets and stuff, but they also see that there's no pottery anywhere in here. Oh, this is pre-pottery Neolithic. It's got to be 8,000 BC. It is so dumb, but this is what they do. So this guy puts out the 8,000 year date, and he gets resistance instantly. Because other researchers coming into the field have affirmatively shown that all around the world, there isn't a hint of human writing like this anywhere in the world, even remotely at that early date. It does not exist. And those researchers are claiming that these tablets are actually, upon reanalysis of the strata and the artifacts and looking at the symbols and all that, very similar to like the Phaistos disc, they come back and amend their date to 600 BC. Can you imagine? They amended their date to 600 BC because academia revolted. And because they want to remain relevant, they went ahead and said 600 BC. 600 BC? Yeah, these things aren't 600 BC. Look at the style. That's Phaistos style. That's Heliolithic Maritime Empire post-reset. Yeah, that's somewhere around the 15th, 16th, 17th century BC. But they said 600 BC to make academia happy. They went from 8,000 BC to 600 just because they got criticized. My whole point here is science is bullshit. Antikythera computer. We talked about it in both previous videos. Only reason I wanted to show this, I'm not bringing anything new to the table other than the fact is that we have a new data point. I know that it was found by sponge divers off the island of Crete. It was found in a ship wreck in the treasure hold, and it's from the Mithridatic Wars. I know that the Antikythera computer wasn't recognized in 1900 when it was brought up. And I know, and I have published that in 1901, it was cleaned and it was recognized to be a geared mechanism and an anomaly, and it was put aside and not really known about too much or made public until Robert de Sola Price in the 1950s. What I didn't know, which is relevant to the Archaix research, is that it was recognized as being very anomalous, and it was studied in 1902, right here. These facts were already recorded in 1902 by the Greek archaeologist Spiridon Stai. Differential geared mechanism, 21 centuries old. Why is this important? Because what you're looking at, the very fact that we now know that it exists, means that 21 centuries ago, we had the manufacturing capability of making these gears. No one inventor made each one of these gears and then turned around and made this mechanism. It doesn't work that way at all. That is not how engineering and ingenuity work. No. These gears were already being used in pre-existing systems. There's a long period of mechanical development that is required before somebody can put something together that is this sophisticated. This isn't just a geared mechanism. It is a system of differential gears. This is very sophisticated, and we didn't replicate this again until the 1700s with gigantic clocks. So, again, academia, Egyptologists, they love to criticize the Abydos reliefs, but you have to understand the history behind these. These were hidden from the public. They were hidden from the public. No one really knew about them for a long period of time. They do look like machines. They look all, and what's interesting is somebody took the time to damage nearby, chisel out nearby areas in order so you can't really see exactly what what is being shown here. But what this picture doesn't show, but what I have showed in previous videos, is that the Osirian reliefs right here at Abydos also show anatomically perfect bees, wasps, geese, duck, different animals next to these machines. So if something is absolutely anatomically correct in its bas relief, just inches away from something else that looks just like a mechanical device, like a hovercraft, like a tank, like a helicopter, then it's just common sense. Employing Occam's razor, employing the wisdom of Sherlock Holmes, of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. You know, if we remove everything that is patent, that just absolutely couldn't be true, what's left, however unbelievable, must be the truth. So, yeah, this wasn't really out there to be discovered, because the ancient Egyptians didn't really know what they were looking at, so they plastered over it. The rest of the Osirian and Abydos has plaster on it. That plaster's covering up the rest of those reliefs throughout that structure. That plaster's still up, but in this area, the plaster is fallen, it decayed, it fell off, whatever, and it exposed this. This is what is underneath the plaster there in Abydos. Kind of makes you wonder. So here's a Saqqara, Egypt, showing the principles that they understood the principle of flight. Little glider. Here are objects that look like aircraft. Now, looking like something is not evidence of being that something, but still, it's very interesting. Notice that they're all delta winged and it's low winged. Birds are high winged. Even the dorsal, even the back fins, which are required in aviation for stability. Look at that. They're all there. And you know, we do have Sanskrit texts that go into 101 pre-flight checks. We got all that. David Hatcher Childress has published those. These are the Baghdad batteries. These batteries from like 17, 18 centuries ago put out 70 volts of electricity. All shoving compost into a copper cylinder that has an iron rod in it. The compost heats up and there's an exchange of energy, and 70 volts comes out this battery. It's crazy, isn't it? So this is a gold artifact found in the Americas. A gold artifact. It is believed this is just an illustration of the gold artifact. It is believed to be a tractor. It's believed to be operated by a guy back here holding on to this. And this thing can move on its own and go forward, controlled by a human. These are control gears. And that the front of the Jaguar is like a tractor, and it moves earth. It literally scoops up earth with its mouth. And then move it out. It's like an excavator, but it's stylized like a Jaguar, which is relevant because the Jaguar was basically the totem deity of the underworld, dealing with earth. This is not the original crystal skull from Lubainton that is really, really famous. This is another one that was more recently discovered, and it's called the charcoal. I think it's called the charcoal skull. Oh no, smoked quartz. It's called the smoked quartz skull, found in 1908 in Guatemala. It is estimated to be at least 500 years old. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's older than that. This is a smoked. This is a dark crystal. It's not like the clear one that Mitchell Hedges found, but it is crystal. And I wanted to show you this when I saw it in a book this morning. Here's the Costa Rica and Ecuadorian spheres. This is a small sphere. Doesn't look small, but these are the spheres, and it's the tolerance. It's the tolerance staying true to pi 3.14 that has blown researchers away, because it's the exact same measurement from any 2 points opposite of each other. You can't do that with chisel and hammer. You just can't. I got a few more pictures of my show. Again, somebody wanted to see a more clear picture of the Piri Reis map. Here it is right here. The Piri Reis map Piri Reis not only drew the coastlines of South America and Antarctica, but included rivers and similar features of the continents as well, many of which would not be investigated for many years. Yeah, because supposedly Antarctica wasn't even invented yet. I mean, it wasn't even discovered yet. Listen to me. Got my media switch on, thinking the media invents everything. There's some other maps I'm going to show. So, concerning vapor canopy conditions, okay, the Komodo dragon is the largest reptile in the world. The Komodo dragons. They're on the island of Komodo. They're only in one place in the entire world. They've only survived one place in the entire world. Now, we are led to believe that the Komodo dragon is a descendant of the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were extinct 65 million years ago. I'm going to tell you right now, as a mathematician, an amateur mathematician, that the laws of probability completely negate the possibility. There is not even a probability. But it is mathematically impossible for this one island to have survived 65 million years, for these descendants of the dinosaurs to still be here, right here. The largest reptile in the world, the Komodo dragon, all found on the same little island right here. For the simple fact is that in 65 million years, there would have been, according to the uniformitarian model, there would have been so many impacts, so many volcanic resurfacings, so many islands that just suffered subsidence and went down when subsurface pressure blew out somewhere else in venting, which happens all the time. Islands disappeared, like Davis Island in 1687 AD. Davis Island disappeared with 5,000 inhabitants. They had to take it off the maps. They even sent ships out there to make sure that they weren't making a mistake before they took it off the maps. So we have islands that also appear. We have island chains disappear. Hell, the island of Yap has the city of Metallinum. The city of Metallinum is halfway underwater, and it's at an angle. Why? Because of subsidence. Somebody built this megalithic. It's probably post-technolithic, Heliolithic architecture, gigantic skeletons with long skulls right there in the middle of the Carolines, and it's called the Island of Yap, and the city is called Metallinon, and it's in the Pacific, and it's a great mystery, and more than half of it is underwater, and it's at an angle. This happens all the time. A tsunami would have taken out, just like it did Malta in the 23rd century BC, and just completely scraped Malta dry, leaving all the giant places underground. Tsunamis would have taken out Komodo Island at least 200-300 times, killed all life in that island in 65 million years. So the whole model is just dumb. But another thing to show about the Komodo dragon is that if the vapor canopy cycle is actually true, which I believe it is, then it's not a stretch. It's not a stretch that some reptiles 15 centuries ago got stranded after the last vapor canopy collapsed. Right around the time, we started waking up worldwide and coming out of our dark age stupor, and all of a sudden we decided to draw maps that don't have any ice on Antarctica or Greenland. We decided to draw maps of North America that don't have any Great Lakes. We just up and decided to draw maps of California's big old island. Oh, and it wasn't just the Western Hemisphere doing that, because the Chinese drew the same maps. Show those in a recent presentation. So we don't have We don't have 65 million year hiatus between a worldwide cataclysm all the way till now, just to see this thriving colony of Komodo dragons on this one little island. The whole model is just, it's ludicrous. But it is believable if the last vapor canopy collapsed in the early 900s, around 936 AD. Right when we have the Vikings popping up everywhere, doing all kinds of things. And then shortly after that, it didn't take any time. I'm going to show you Jesus, Lord of the Mushrooms, in this video. Then we had churches. Then we had cathedrals. I'm talking about fast cathedrals and cities and stone castles and universities all popping up at the exact same time. Why? Why didn't they pop up in the 900s, in the 800s, in the 700s, in the 600s, when we had them in the 500s? We had universities, we had churches, we had massive temples. Yeah, we had all that in the 500s. But we also know what happened: the great 25-year Justinian darkness, which started the Dark Ages. Whole world almost died. But what we don't have are historians telling us the truth as to what was going on during those dark ages. It wasn't just human depopulation. The world fundamentally changed. This vapor canopy cycle. So, yeah, it's much more believable if the Komodo dragons were just there for 15 centuries. And again, we have all these depictions of dragons, like the Nibelungen, the German epic called the Nibelungen. It dates to that period, 800, 700 AD. And that's exactly when you would see, once the vapor canopy collapsed, all these creatures are now struggling to survive. And they're becoming fewer and fewer. So you have all these Christian knights, all these Christian saints. They're fighting giant frogs and giant worms and dragons and giant snails and like demons and stuff. But within 200 years, they're fighting Muslims. The Crusades begun. Now humans are fighting humans, and no one's really worried about the animal kingdom anymore. So this is the Orontius Phineas map, 1532. This map is very controversial too, because this guy here accurately depicted Antarctica without the ice. 2-mile high ice cap today. And Archaix veterans, you know that's there. That's what happens every time a vapor canopy collapses. At the poles, all that snow it's almost instantaneous. Today, there's no humidity at the poles. Therefore, it doesn't snow. And when it does, it just snows very lightly. Yeah, all those Hollywood movies, they always show Antarctica and it's always snowing and blizzard and all that. It's total bullshit. It's total bullshit. It very, very, very rarely snows at the poles. As a matter of fact, in the encyclopedia, it says that the snowfall at the poles is less than an inch a year. It's because there's no humidity. This is why there's 58 or 59 different ice age theories. They just don't know. They just can't get it right. They done told so many lies in the uniformitarian model, man. They just can't get it right. And now they don't have any geniuses with 200 IQ that can step forward and come up with the perfect lie that can synthesize all the previous lies. It's not working for them. So this map here shows Antarctica and this map has been studied by professionals, and it has been determined. Professor Charles Hapgood, in his Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, had the U.S. Geological Survey scientists look at it, and it was shown that these older maps do accurately reflect the location of the mountain ranges, the valleys, and the rivers in Antarctica. And they don't know how, because these maps are 500 years old. And yet today, there is 2-mile high ice caps over these regions. Uniformitarian science and versions of history will never answer this riddle. Well, they'll never answer this riddle. Graham Hancock's never going to answer the riddle because he's still steady trying to tell you these maps date all the way back to the Ice Age. Total crap. Ice Age theory is bullshit. Vapor canopy cycle answers for all the data. That snow and that ice has only been there since the 800s or 900s AD. And it was only there since the 1600s BC. This is a cycle. I've shown charts showing the 552-year cycle perfectly, but it's every 1656 years that this whole situation flips. And when we do, we get the Akambaro, we get the Ica stones, we get the Nazca lines. We're going to show more of it real quick. So again, here's Avebury. I wanted to show this to you because I'm still supporting my claim that the oldest continually inhabited infrastructure in the world is the United Kingdom. And here's the date that the establishment archaeologists in the UK put out for Avebury. It is 3500 BC. In Archaix, we have 3439 BC as the date that all of a sudden urbanization, city building, canal works, technologically advanced leaps all happened just rapidly. And right before that was all Neolithic. But what happened in 3439 BC? Total systemic reset. The Gihon flood killed 1/3 of the world's population. Right after that, though, strangers appeared out of a mountain from underground. And they brought us tools, they brought us technology, they brought us knowledge, learning, and all they wanted was our daughters. That's the story. It's one of the oldest stories in the world. It's told all around the world in many different versions. It's the same story that's probably going to be told in the future as well. It's the future after 2046, when all those who are hiding underground in underground facilities during 2040 and 2046 will come out in the 2050s. And when they come back up in the 2050s, the same story. We're going to help you guys. Let's get together. Let's put civilization back together. We're going to set up these walled citadels. In ancient times, they were called Edens, and like Eden. And they're going to be like commissaries and everything good. They're going to be like paradises. They're going to have everything, all the amenities. They're going to have shower. You'll be able to shower there, do all this stuff, and you go out into the wilderness and you help rebuild civilization. Go try to find survivors, and they'll set up all these camps. And this is the story of the human condition over and over and over again, because we are inside of a construct that is intentionally resetting us over and over and over. And somebody figured that out, and they go underground every time. So we'll have a fighting chance when we come, for those who've survived these systemic cataclysms. This is Malta right here. Again, this is a post-Technolithic. This is post-Technolithic is after 2600 BC. It is probably right before the Heliolithic. By post-Technolithic, I'm talking about, this is vapor canopy architecture. This was made when a vapor canopy was intact. All post-Technolithic megaliths, all these guys showing megaliths and showing megalith architecture and stuff, they need to get on board and understand the difference between Technolithic, post-Technolithic, and Heliolithic architecture and post-Heliolithic. These four categories I've gone through in many presentations before, but you have to understand, under a high-pressure environment, which is a vapor canopy environment, which is high pressure, it fundamentally changes the human body. We are able to do a whole lot more things, hold our breath, do all kinds, but it also changes the structure of water. It changes the properties of water, and we're able to do some really incredible things with water. As I showed you in the earlier video, our ability to hold our breath in a high pressurized environment is also changes, because we're able to dive 200 feet, and that the intense pressure of underneath all that water doesn't really affect avatars that have grown up and were born in a high pressure environment underneath the mesosphere. All that moisture in the atmosphere of the mesosphere, a couple miles thick, creates the vapor canopy. The vapor canopy is a weight. It's a weight on the atmosphere. This increases pressure. All the additional chemical, well, not chemicals, but all the additional oxygen and hydrogen that's available. Plants are now growing to astonishing sizes. Our vitamin and mineral content is explosive. There's plenty to eat. The world becomes an Edenic paradise. Animals, amphibians, reptiles, everything's growing bigger. Humans develop epiphyseal cartilage that makes them look thicker and thicker and thicker and more Neanderthalish. They grow, they live longer. Do I believe that humans lived for 900 years? Absolutely not. It's a Jewish myth. There is absolutely not a single ancient record known to man that says anything about humans living for hundreds and hundreds of years outside of the Jew Flavius Josephus. There's nothing. I've done much research in this and showed you guys my findings on that. That's a myth. But did people live up to 140, 150, 160 years? Absolutely. But just like the analogy I just provided to you of the Komodo dragon, 65 million, the laws of probability mandate that you would have died by accident many times if you lived to 200 years old. Yeah, you just died by accident. Let's see. I know I've already died by accident multiple times. I can't even believe I'm still here. Oh, this is epic. What? This is on Stonehenge. This is on a sarsen stone in Stonehenge. They call it the Mycenaean dagger for want of another word. But Stonehenge is a three-dimensional calendar designed to measure movement of the stellosphere. Stonehenge is orientated toward the month of May. Guys, that object should be known to my Archaix veterans. Let me turn it over for you and you tell me what you see. What do you see here? Why would it be on an observatory designed to study the night sky? What is that? Man, oh man, I didn't even prepare it. I didn't prepare it. I'm a little embarrassed about it, but you know what? I'm going to go get it right now. I'm going to go get it right now because I have right here on this deal. What is that? Okay, I can just use this. Let me unhook this. You guys are about to see this. That's amazing. All right, let me jack into this. Some of you already know what I'm talking about. Why would this be on Stonehenge? And Stonehenge was built almost at the exact same time this thing first appeared in the human historical record. Can't make this shit up. I got a whole book published about this event. I know somebody's going to get the answer right. Somebody's going to get it. This is what this thing looks like in the sky. All right, I'm in. Let me go into this file system here. Go into here. Oh my God, I got so much stuff here. Come on, pop in. So it's a single image I'm looking for. It is a famous, I think it's an engraving or a woodcut. I'm gonna find it real quick. Hold on. I should have just went to my website. I could have got it off my website fast. Damn, this sucks. All right, those are. Oh man, I should have had this. Should have had this done already. You guys somebody already named it. I just saw. This is what I go through, guys. What you're looking at on the screen right now is only a Phoenix file, and every one of these files is packed with even more data. This is only a single Phoenix file. This is how much stuff's in it. Incredible. There's so much that my computer won't even open it all right now, like it real fast, like it normally does. I'm looking for this. Man, I can't believe that, man. I can't believe I wasn't prepared. There's just so, I know what file it's in. Let me find it. I recently did that video. Here it is. I know it's going to be in here. But again, my computer's not opening these damn things like it's supposed to. Probably because I'm in the StreamYard app. There we go. Oh, man. What is that? Oh, yeah, my computer's really acting funny. Yeah, man. Sino over Nuremberg, Germany. It's also it's also what was seen in 1314 AD at nighttime as it passed through the night sky, darkening the stars in the year 1314. That's crazy. I think 1314 happens to be 792 years to 2106. I'm not going to get into the chronology. Yeah, man. What is going on here? Look at that thing. Let's put them side by side. Why would Stonehenge, an ancient observatory for the stars, which was built, that's not me telling you, that's the experts are saying Stonehenge was built right around the 34th century BC, 3400 BC. Well, when was the Ogygian deluge? The Ogygian deluge was caused by the Nemesis X object. The Nemesis X object in 3439 BC passed across the sky, caused flooding all over the world, and killed 1/3 of the human race. As soon as that was over, the Watchers descended Mount Ardus, came down among men, and made deals with exchanging technology for the daughters of men. In the Sumerian version, it was Enki and the Anuna coming by way of Dilmun on a fleet of ships founding ancient Sumer. In the Phoenician traditions, it was Vulcan who came out of a divine mountain. Vulcan, volcano, phoenix. Vulcan comes out and he establishes civilization. It's all the same story. But why is this object carved into a sarsen stone at Stonehenge, when Stonehenge itself was built almost at the exact same time that this object was seen in 3439 BC? You can't make this shit up. Can't make this shit up. Mycenaean dagger my ass. Let me go back to that Mycenaean dagger. If I can find it. Yeah, I thought that was cool. That was cool as hell. Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm just putting two and two together. And they may not even be related. But it sure is curious to me. All right. So this was found near the Great Pyramids. You're looking at a stone chalk. Look at that. Look at that. It's for see how the cordage, see how your ropes would have gone over these? Nice engineering. Here's one of the books. Some of the data that we're looking at is from Peter James and Nick Thorpe. I really enjoyed this book about 10 years ago when I read it. It's in my library now. But they get dead on Graham Hancock, Andrew Collins, and Robert Bovell's butts in this book. Yeah. So Zodiac time. This is in this book right here. I'm quoting this book, Ancient Mysteries. Peter James and Nick Thorpe. You need to hear this, especially those of you who get triggered about me talking about the Zodiac. Someone needs to share this right here with Gnostic Academy and Iron Bush. They need to see this. I'm not making all this stuff up. These guys keep on accusing me of making up all this information, but they don't want to put a thesis together trying to show how I'm wrong. Zodiac time. The astronomical calculations of Bovell and Hancock present such a neat case that it is easy to understand its attraction. Yet, what they have not properly considered is that the amazing correlations they claim to have found may be purely accidental. First, there is no evidence at all that the Egyptians had any interest in the 12 signs of the zodiac, as we know them, before about 200 BC. They're talking about the Dendera zodiac, which wasn't even Egyptian, it's Greek. It was just in Egypt. So, without informing their readers of this, Bovell and Hancock proceed as if the zodiac was as familiar to the ancient Egyptians as it is to us today. Our arrangement of 12 constellations into a zodiac comes from ancient Babylonia, southern Iraq, where it seems to have been conceived no earlier than about 1500 BC. What they're referring to here is the Babylonian zodiac, which was never solar, it was lunar. After that date, though, we have thousands of Babylonian astronomical records written on clay tablets. The concept of the 12 signs as a group does not seem to have been of any great importance until the Hellenistic period, the Greek period. It's all I've ever said, that the solar zodiac of Aries through Pisces was not invented until the Greek period. That's all I've said. And I showed evidence that, and I've also showed evidence that we can't even find evidence that the Greeks knew about it because all the citations are Roman. So I thought that was really interesting right there, especially considering the fact that they continue. Still talking about Graham Hancock and Robert Bovell. Before the supposed age of Taurus, the tenuous connections that can be drawn between religious developments and the zodiac become even fainter. Where is the evidence for a cult of heavenly twins beginning about 6640 BC for the constellation Gemini? Or, for what matter, a golden age of crab worship to match the age of Cancer, starting about 8800 BC? Bovell and Hancock expect us to accept that before these completely unattested ages springing out of the blue, there was an age of respect for the constellation Leo, of which the Leonine Sphinx was constructed as an eternal symbol about 10,500 BC. What they're basically saying is your theory requires a zodiac that was known all the way back to that time. And if that's true, how did you skip the age of Gemini and you've got no architecture anywhere from the ancient world that shows you all these things that show Leo? You're showing Leo and all the pyramid, Stonehenge. Yeah, they use everything, archaeoastronomy. So their arguments are, where's your age of Cancer? Where's your age of Gemini? Because they would have been in between this age of Leo you keep talking about. So anyway, I thought that was pretty compelling. Yeah, they're not trying to hear it. So there is not a shred of evidence that it ever existed. Talking about Atlantis. Talking about Atlantis in Antarctica. And in fact, Hancock's far-fetched theory directly conflicts with his arguments for redating the Sphinx. To explain why Antarctica was free of ice during the last glacial period, Hancock subscribes to the theory that the Ice Age was ended by a massive shift in Earth's crust. Yet, what he seems to have overlooked here is that such an upheaval would immediately throw out of the window any computer retro calculations based on the gentle precessional wobble of Earth's axis over the last 12,000 years. How many times have I have told you in videos that precession is complete hoax? All that is total bullshit. Every bit of it. That whole precessional wobble deal about we move 1 degree every 72 years was invented to explain why Alpha Draconis, the star Thuban, is no longer the pole star. It's a uniformitarian attempt for us to for science to explain that, well, the wobble is the reason why after 25,000 years we change pole stars and we're Polaris now. But that's not what the historical record shows. The historical record shows that we lost the dragon star in a single night in the Noahic flood. And after the flood of Noah, the dragon had fallen and the world tree, the axis, was broken. And a new pole star was venerated in the ancient world. And for a good like 13 centuries, the Great Bear was the center of attention in the ancient world. The Big Dipper, the Great Bear constellation. In the lunar zodiacs of that 13, that little 13th century period after the cataclysm, which was 2239 BC to 713 BC, all the civilizations in the world, they measured the Venus almanacs. They measured the movement of Venus and the measure of moon along an entirely different band of the heavens, not Aries through Pisces, but Orion, Canis Major, Canis Minor, the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters, the Little Bear, the Big Bear, and the tail of the dragon. Couldn't line it up with the eye of the dragon anymore. So anyway, I just find it really interesting that they're also showing that Graham Hancock is it's crazy. Graham Hancock cannot say that in order to make his theory correct, there must have been a shift in Earth's crust. It's a pole shift. That's the one thing uniformitarians are not trying to hear. That's why they invented the precessional BS. Precession is going to try and get you to understand why we have a different pole star. But in the historical record, the change of the pole stars was almost instant. And what's really interesting is Polaris has been our pole star since the 7th century BC. And guess what? The pole still pointed at Polaris. So what happened to precession? It's all bullshit. That should be my new motto. I should get a t-shirt that says, guys, you know what? I've done so much research. I have read so many books, and I have provided publicly my entire research bibliography, that my ultimate conclusion is it's all bullshit. Yeah, hell yeah. Graham Hancock, he don't give a damn. He got rich. We should be able to sue that dude, man. Jimmy Corsetti got filthy rich doing what? Telling you some bullshit about the Archaix structure, telling you some BS about Atlantis being over here in the African sands. Yeah, and at the same time, guess what? Neither one of these guys want to come to the table and talk about it because they don't want to be embarrassed by an ex-con with an 8th grade education. They don't want to be stood up. That's why Jimmy Corsetti, who's watching me right now, and Graham Hancock, who catches up with me, between his little peyote retreats and stuff, with Randall Carlson, that's why they're never going to come to the table and talk about these things. It has nothing to do with their inability to defend their theories. They probably can. It has everything to do with being basically exposed as a fraud by somebody with a criminal history who comes from basically a fraudulent environment, straight out of prison, with an 8th grade education. Come out here, man, just smash your theories, man, and embarrass shit out of you. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. So, meanwhile, it is safe to say that relegating the Sphinx to a time period thousands of years earlier than the pyramids is not realistic or necessary answer. A combination of factors, but mainly chemical erosion, was most likely responsible for its heavily weathered appearance. Heavy rain, this is awesome. Heavy rainfall, as Schock argues, could also have played its part, though he does not stress the point himself. The period of heavy rainfall to which he has redated the Sphinx carried on, in the view of many climatologists, to at least 2300 BC. Can I give y'all my happy dance? What did they say? Climatologists said 2300 BC. When did I tell you guys? From multiple different species of analysis, from multiple different source materials, scientific ancient records, chronographical, through chronotecture and the Great Pyramid, chronological studies. What have I told you for 5 years? The Typhon flood was the day the sky fell. The vapor canopy collapsed. The marine super high humidity, high pressure environment, that world fell and collapsed right around 2300 BC, 2239 BC to be precise. So, Archaix for the win. Our climatologists are agreeing too. That's when the period of heavy rainfall totally ended. Amazing. Why did it end? Why do climatologists believe that a wet world existed for a long time, and then all of a sudden around 2300, because that's a scientific approximate, right around 2300 BC, all of a sudden Egypt's a desert. There's no more wet world no more. Yeah, vapor canopy collapsed. The entire North African plate, just like I told you guys, there was massive earthquakes. The entire North African plate sank. And when it did, the Mediterranean rushed in. The Sphinx has no casing stones. That soft limestone was beat up for about 340 years until the North African plate popped back into place. It only rose 300 feet, which is in geographical, terms, it's nothing. But for us, we're so tiny, it's cataclysmic. It's 300 foot declivity, 300 foot comes back, upheaval. The pyramids are 450 feet. So you see the wave damage on the pyramid. And you see that above the crest, the ebb and flow on the waves, you see above that, the casing stones are real smooth. They're still nice. But you see the tore up part where the waves were, and everything below it is real bad. Why? Because it totally deteriorated for 340 years in that salt water. And the Sphinx was absolutely unprotected. And we're going to show a picture of the Sphinx because it's ridiculous what they show today. That little bitty old head on that big old body. So this is the Somerset Zodiac. I have some new books over here. My publisher sent me. I will be doing a video on the Somerset Zodiac. It's amazing because we have a gigantic zodiac of effigies, big giant pictures discovered in England at Somerset. It's called the Somerset Zodiac. It's been confirmed in many published books now. It's amazing. But it is a zodiac that was in use not even 2,000 years ago, right there in England, and it's not Aries through Pisces at all. It's totally different, and there's been a lot of people trying to cover this up and put it away and trying to attack it and all that, but it's very definitive. And where the constellation Aquarius is, it's not Aquarius in the Somerset Zodiac. It's the Phoenix. All roads lead to the Phoenix. There it is. I'm going to do a whole video about the Somerset Zodiac. Isn't that something? Okay. So this is the Kensington runestone. It's really interesting. It dates from 1362. 1362 AD is the date on this deal. This is on the Anuna Nur calendar starting in 5239 BC. Every 600 years, major events involving the Anuna and the descendants of the Anuna. That's right. Every 600 years is called the Great Year. Remember when I recently did a video about 6 months ago showing you all these academics, scholars, professionals claiming that there's never been a record of a 600-year cycle, and then that it's modern myth? So I proceeded to give you about 25 different ancient examples of a knowledge of a 600-year cycle, just showing you it's all bullshit. That's all they do is lie to us. So this is Kensington runestone is on one of those 600-year cycles. It's 1362. This is the actual runes on the stone. It was found because a tree in 1896 in a thunderstorm fell over. And when the tree fell over, the roots had the runestone in there. And it pulled the runestone up, and they looked at it and realized in 1896, wow, there's writing on here. So, yeah, it's a Viking runestone. This is what it says. This is what those runes say. 8 Goths and 22 Norwegians on an exploration journey from Vinland westward. We had camp by 2 rocky islands, 1 day's journey north from this stone. We were out and fished 1 day. After we came home, found 10 men red with blood and dead. AVM saved from evil. Jehovah, that's it. Have 10 men by the sea to look after our ships. 14 days journey from this island. Year 1362. I believe they made it back home because there is a record of a King Magnus of Norway who indeed sent out an expedition to go survey North America. So I believe they made it back. That's King Magnus of Norway, 1354. He sent men back. He sent men across the Western Sea to go on a fishing expedition to see what was out there. Well, that's why I believe some of those men made it back. Vlad. We got Vlad the Impaler. Vlad Dracul, ruler of Wallachia in the Transvaal. This is Transylvania. One of the most demonized men in the world. I don't know if I'm not going to get into the details here, but there's a reason why the publishing world has demonized this man. And it's for the same reasons why the publishing world has demonized many things that they don't really want to tell you the truth about. But Vlad Dracul was very beloved of his people. He wasn't going to let the papacy, he wasn't going to let the Jewish merchant guilds, and he wasn't going to let the Muslims tell him what to do in his own kingdom. And he was a little bitty kingdom in between all three of them. And this man, he gave no quarter. He gave no quarter, and they hated his guts. And after he was dead, he basically invented the whole Dracula legend. He's been demonized ever since. But this is Vlad Dracul. If you want to know the whole story, which is very compelling, I do have a video. I have a full 2-hour video giving the details from historical books that I've read on the life of Vlad Dracul, who was the son of a man who was of the Order of the Dragon, and how he was taken as a child by the Turks, raised by the Muslims. He got to know their ways and made his escape. Him and his brother were taken, but he made his escape. He came back to Transvaal. When they realized who he was, he became leader instantly, and he started leading guerrilla warfare against the Turks, and they feared him. They feared him. The tactics he employed were incredible, and the fact that he impaled his enemies. He didn't care if they came from the Vatican. They came from the rich Jewish merchant guilds. He didn't care if they came from the Turks. He says anybody showed up in anywhere in his domains and he didn't like what they had to say, they went on a stick. The people loved him. One of my moderators, if you would find that video and post the link to the video on Vlad Dracul of Wallachia. So this crystal lens was found in an ancient Egyptian tomb. That's really interesting. It's just something to show. Just to show that, look, they had crystal lenses. They had sophistication. This is found underneath the Atlantic. This is at the Bahamas. Got some pyramids and evidence of infrastructure down there. I'm not leaping to the Atlantis deal. I'm not leaping to that. We have a lot like Davis Island with 5,000 people in 1687 BC that just plunged in the Pacific. There's other instances where islands have disappeared. There's different areas. Remember in 1902 when Mount Pelée erupted and killed and incinerated in seconds 30,000 people in the French Caribbean at the city of St. Pierre. When you recall my accounts of this, they found out that the sea bottom around the island dropped 3,400 feet. Yeah. This is the type of world we live in. I've explained this many times. You need to watch the movie Dark City of 1998, and you will see how they manipulate our environment. Places go up, upheaval. Places go down, subsidence. And it changes the topography. And the sky moves, but you ain't going nowhere. You're not moving. Look at this guy here. An ancient example. A Bronze Age Celtic prince. So this was found in Europe. This guy's on a unicycle. Nothing ever changes. This is all metal too, so that wheel turned. Wow. All right, so this just goes to show you how big the blocks are on the Great Pyramid. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Even at the turn of the century, the level of courses to the top, 203 level of courses. 203 levels. The blocks are gigantic. They're just huge. And remember, it looks like that. It's all rough because the first 300 feet of the structure was under the Mediterranean for a long time. Not because the Mediterranean was higher, then the whole world would have been flooded. No, it's because the North African plate went down. When it came back up in 1899 BC and Menes landed in his ships, Menes was Anum of Sumer. And when he came and he founded the Egyptian dynasties, Professor L.A. Waddell's, one of my moderators can find that link as well, talking about Sumer and Egypt are the exact same in the first 5 dynasties. And when Menes landed in 1899 BC, according to Professor L.A. Waddell's research, Egypt was called the raised land. It had just raised up out of the water. So, in my published books and in my videos, I show that this is not the Aztec calendar. This is often called an Aztec calendar, but it's not. This is Toltec. This is the stone. It's actually called the stone of the 5th sun. 4 suns have already passed. Each sun darkening episode was accompanied with fire and earthquakes. That's what this whole disc is about. These triangular symbols are doomsday symbols. That's what these are. These are doomsday symbols. There's all these crossed bars. You can't really see them. All these crossed bars right here, I show in my published books. Those crossed bars mean the closure of the cycle. Well, this disc is literally showing us that this is the word of a god. The reason we know this is because in the center of the disc is the deity, and his tongue has writing on it. It's coming out. His tongue is like a sword, like in the book of Revelation. Jesus appears and a sword comes out, which means that he has the power of speech to make war. So what's very interesting about the stone of the 5th sun is that it literally showing us the book of Revelation is concerning the end times of the Maya, the Quiche, the Zapotec, the Olmec, the Toltec, the Aztec. Their end of the world deal involves the sun darkening. This is what begins the end of the world. Then great fire from the sky, rocks from the sky, flooding and earthquakes. It's all on this disc. There's little pictures of them. All this has been translated. And these are doomsday symbols among this. But the most compelling evidence from this disc involves a parallel with the book of Revelation. In the book of Revelation, we are specifically told that these cataclysms happen back to back. It's the 6th seal of the apocalypse. The 6th seal. There's only one seal after that. It's the 7th seal. And in the 7th seal, nothing happens. It is a preparatory period for the trumpets. Then the first trumpet comes and rocks fall out the sky. But with the 2nd and 3rd trumpet, a great object appears in the sky. This is Nemesis X. First one is Phoenix, the Typhon. The second one is Nemesis X. They come back to back, just like Mother Shipton said. Back to back sky dragons will appear, just as we find in the Ragnarok. Two celestial wolf type things. One eats the sun, one eats the moon. Back to back, just like Nostradamus' date index as interpreted by French scholar Mario Reading. Back to back cataclysms. Mario Reading's interpretation of Nostradamus shows in 2040, in the month of May, will appear. The sun will go darken. The sun will darken and be moved from its place, and the moon will be turned to blood. There will be all kinds of cataclysmic stuff. And then Nostradamus specifically says for the date index of 2046, he says, and after this, a greater disaster will occur. They are back to back. In the book of Revelation, the 3rd trumpet has wormwood appearing in the sky. When wormwood appears in the sky, 1/3 of the day, 1/3 of the night, 1/3 of the stars, 1/3 of the sun, 1/3 of the moon, all done away with, leaving 66.6% of the day, 66.6% of the night, 66% of the stars, the sun, and the moon. That's very detail specific. In the Mayan long count, we now know that the 1,872,000 days, turnings of the stars divided by 13 epochs called Bactans, which are 144,000 days each, never ended in 2012. They ended in 2046. Same thing. What is the Mayan prophecy attached to 2046? An army of demons from the underworld will come up and attack mankind. And time as we know it will collapse. This is the Mayan faith for the end of the Mayan long count. Time will collapse. Well, if you take 1/3 of the day, 1/3 of the night, 1/3 of the sun, 1/3 of the moon, and 1/3 of the stars out of the equation, then you take a 365.24 solar year and you reduce it to 243 days. That's exactly what Revelation is explaining. That's exactly what the Maya see. Time will collapse. Time as we know it will collapse because it's reduced to 243 days. And here we find the stone of the fifth sun is literally telling us of a return of a 243-day period, which matches the Venus cycle. It's all here. 243 days. Anybody can get a calculator out and look at it. 365.25 divided by 30, a third is exactly 243. You can't make this stuff up. The ancients did not give a damn about Aries, Gemini, Cancer, Libra, none of that stuff. They didn't give a damn about it. Romans invented that stuff and blamed and claimed the Greeks did. But even the Dendera Zodiac in Egypt is of Roman during the height of the Roman period. What the ancients cared about was Venus. They always watched Venus. What is the common denominator between the ancient American calendars and the Sumerian, Babylonian, Syrian calendars? It's called Venus almanacs. There are Venus almanacs in the Near East, and there are Venus almanacs in the Americas. Venus was always something watched because watching the cycle of Venus told them about what was about to happen to our own world. And they watched it religiously. The stone of the fifth sun shows us time is going to collapse. We all know it's 2046 when this happens, and when it does, according to the Book of Revelation, copied from the Sibylline prophecies, everything is reduced to a third. When that happens, our 365-day year becomes 243 days, matching it to Venus. Why is Venus so important? Because Venus is a vapor canopy world. Now, this is what we're told in all the science literature. Venus is the twin of Earth. It has a vapor canopy. All right. Now, I just wanted to show this piece here because I'm always showing you guys evidence of the amazing engineering of the Great Pyramid. Look at the swivel stone. They kept the entrance hidden. It kept the entrance so perfectly hidden that Al-Mamun in 820 AD with the Caliph of Baghdad couldn't even find the entrance. That's why he tunneled way down here underneath it. Tunneling into the pyramid in 820 dislodged a ceiling block in the ascendant passage, and they heard the thud and they tunneled toward it, and that's how they found the first time in human memory since the Great Pyramid was built in the 28th century BC. First time in human memory anybody had ever been inside of it. No historical records whatsoever. All 26 Egyptian dynasties, there's not a single record of anybody ever going into the upper chambers of the Great Pyramid because they didn't know they existed. They were very well hidden by one of these blocks, a ceiling block that was disguised so cleverly. The entire world started building pyramids after the cataclysm, and not one single pyramid replicates the Queen's Chamber, ascendant passage, opening of the Grand Gallery. Grand Gallery tapers off into a single massive slab that goes into an antechamber with a locking mechanism system, and it goes into a king's chamber that takes a right and goes deep to an empty sarcophagus, which isn't even a sarcophagus. It's a symbol. It was made to hold something, but not a man. So we have this amazing engineering in the Great Pyramid that was never copied by any pyramid structure in the entire world. Why? Because the ceiling block had remained in place until the Muslims accidentally dislodged it. No one knew. Every single pyramid in Egypt did not replicate that feature. No pyramids in the Americas replicated that feature. Why? Because no one knew the ascendant corridors, chambers, and galleries even existed. So they only copied what they knew, which was a descending passage to a subterranean chamber, because all the pyramids in America have that. They all have a passage that goes down to a well pit, to a chamber underneath the pyramid. They all replicated that because they knew that. It wasn't until 820 AD that the Caliph of Baghdad, Al-Mamun, looking for treasure, tunneled into the Great Pyramid, and his men accidentally dislodged a ceiling block that was cleverly disguised. And when they found it, they found a granite plug that prevented them from going forward. So they tunneled around that, and they found a second granite plug. So they tunneled around that. They found a third granite plug, and then they were able to get in the ascendant passage, and they found the Queen's Chamber, the Grand Gallery, the Antechamber, and the King's Chamber, the first humans to have done that since the building of the Great Pyramid. Guys, all this was published in my very first published book in 2006 called The Lost Scriptures of Giza. These are the Akambaro figurines. These aren't evidence of what was going on in the pre-flood world. These are evidence that 15 centuries ago we had another vapor canopy period. Remember, under a high pressure environment, the normal reptiles we got today and amphibians are going to take on different forms. Just like humans do. Just like the buildup of epiphyseal cartilage. Craniums getting longer from being able to live longer under a high pressure environment. Looking more Neanderthalic even though you're pure human. Domestication. So for those new to my channel, I just recently did a video after visiting Glen Rose, Texas. And in that video, I showed incontrovertible evidence that what we call dinosaurs and humans were living during recent Native American times. Wooden Native American totem poles show dinosaurs perfectly. This poor bastard's getting eaten. This poor bastard's getting eaten right by this creature right here. All teeth. Again, this is Great Pyramid. This is I wanted to show this picture because a lot of people just think a bunch of blocks were slapped together. You have no idea the technolithic, high precision, laser tolerances required to build this structure out of different materials. And all these different materials, like you see granite, you see red granite, you see the Turin red granite, you have the limestone block, all these slabs. These are different types of materials that were glued together with an adhesive that is still unknown today that is 1/50th of an inch thick. 2.5 million blocks all glued together to be one structure that is 203 levels high, which at present is 454 feet high. Most people have no clue how technologically advanced this structure is because it looks so simple, but it's not. One of the books, 5/5/2000, Ice the Ultimate Disaster, Richard R. Noon. I read this in the 90s. Nothing happened on May 5th, 2000. So people kind of lost interest in him, but the book is still packed with a bunch of amazing stuff. I mean, a whole bunch of people that are still out in the field publishing today were all on the 2012 bandwagon, and nothing happened then either. So this is interesting. At first glance, you would look at this and assume that these are black women. They are not. They are Caucasians. This prehistoric rock painting near Brandenburg, Southwest Africa, depicts young Amazons whose European faces are painted with a light. You can't see it. You can't see it down there. Damn it. I cut it off. Anyway, red and yellow. The pigments used for their hair are red and yellow. They got pointy Nordic noses, and the discoverers say that their features are Caucasian. One of them has yellow hair, one of them has red hair. This is in Africa. Come on, guys. You know these are Caucasians. Because they were Africans, they'd have those big old Venus butts. Don't sit here and act like these girls have the African build. They do not. They're skinny. These are Caucasians. This is shown because this is Uzbekistan. This is Uzbekistan, USSR, and the petroglyph is interesting because it looks like these guys are wearing respirators. That's what it says right here. These men appear to be wearing respirators. And then he goes off and says something dumb. Could the object with rays be a space rocket? Shut your Zechariah Sitchin wannabe Eric Von Daniken ass up. Look at that creature they're on. That may be it could be a depiction of a horse, a stylized horse. Two men on horseback. Could be. Whatever it is, it does look like respirators. And this other guy might have a jackhammer. Remember, cargo cults are going to draw things as best they can. On the right, you have a skull that shows that humans were hunting these creatures, and that whatever we were shooting, the projectile was amazingly fast. Could be amazingly fast. I got another book that's got a bunch of these skulls that have that show this wasn't a bow and arrow. This dude's saying this wasn't a bow and arrow. This is a high-speed projectile that did this. Characteristic of bullet holes. Oh, I wanted to show this because this is Pioneer 10. This is the message that we sent out into space according to NASA. Pioneer 10 rocket that we sent outside the solar system for extraterrestrials to pick up, and it's written in the language of geometry and pictographs and some really sophisticated like algebraic data is all encoded in this deal. The reason I wanted to show it is because we haven't seen the last of this. I'm pretty sure that somewhere in a sub-basement at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, they've got this thing that they claim they sent out in space, and they're airbrushing it. They might be finally burning some of it. They may be using different types of chemicals and trying to do some boron scoring on it, carbon scoring, and doing all that. So when they finally bring it out, you know, when they finally do the alien psyop and a ship supposedly lands and they come out and the ship drops on the ground the message and we see it's all tore up because it's been going through space and it's total psyop. They're going to bring this thing back out. We haven't seen the last of it. They're going to bring this thing back out, and when they do, it's going to be all tore up and it's going to be delivered by what we're told are extraterrestrials. And remember, you heard it on Archaix first. We ain't seen the last of this thing. I'm just waiting for for that Illuminati card to drop on the alien psyop. So this is interesting because it's in Cosmo Valley, Peru. This is a relief of a six-fingered man. Got 6 fingers. You know, in the Old Testament, one of Goliath's sons was described as a hideous giant with six toes on each foot and 6 fingers on each hand. And we've got 6-fingered giants in the traditions in the traditions of the Americas. So this is more gaslighting, or maybe just the book editors just don't know. But this is Quetzalcoatl with his wind mask inside Jaguar's head. It might be a Maya artist idea of a space helmet. My God, so stupid. The reason Quetzalcoatl wears a jaguar mask is because the jaguar represents his origin from the underworld when he appeared to ancient man, the Aztecs, the ancestors of the Aztecs, and helped them build their civilization. This comes from the book Forbidden Archaeology. if uniformitarians are correct, if they're correct, then this thing comes from, was it quarry walker, layers of gneiss, mica slate, hornblende talcos, primitive clay slate. So they're not saying, they're trying to be conservative. They're saying uncertain age. But these letters are in a marble block that was found underneath a depth of 60 to 70 feet. Underneath layers of gneiss, mica slate, hornblende, talco slate, and primitive clay slate, before coming to the layer from which the block containing the letter-like shapes was cut. This came from deep out of the pre-flood world. Looks like Stonehenge shapes. So this is another FU to the uniformitarians. This coin-like object came from Long Ridge, Illinois, from a depth of 114 feet. And the Illinois State Geological Survey said the deposits that the coin came from are 200,000 to 400,000 years old. Wow. The very fact that you can say that something is one thing and then double it and say it's also that, 400,000 is twice 200,000. 200,000 is already a huge deal. Why don't you just say the truth? You don't know. You don't know. It's so dumb. So dumb. This coin is certainly not 200,000 years old. So the whole uniformitarian dating model is just BS. It's total BS. So here's a partial shoe sole in Triassic rock from Nevada. The Triassic is dated at 213 to 248 million years old. A fossilized partial shoe sole. Now, we've already shown in Archaix shoe prints, sandal prints, and fossilized human feet of children, females, and full-grown males, and even gigantic humans. It's none of this stuff is that old. The entire uniformitarian dating model is BS. A metallic tube found at Saint-Jean-de-Levay, France, in 65 million year old chalk beds. What? A metallic tube found in 65 million year old. Those chalk beds are nowhere near 65 million years old. But I don't doubt that that's a metallic tube from the pre-flood world. Shoe prints in the Cambrian, 505 million years old. That's so dumb. There it is, Forbidden Archaeology, The Hidden History of the Human Race. Huge book. Huge book. It's in my library right now. Impressions of human feet in limestone and rock. Limestone rock would be at least 300,000 years old. The dating system is just so dumb. Okay, here's a giant sphere. Look at the size of that sphere. How did they? I'm telling you now, they made them with machines. These are the earthquake resonators that I was telling you about in the other video. These were all over the place, and these are the building materials from a previous civilization that made these as an early earthquake warning system. They're all made at perfect spheres at 3.14 tolerance pi, and they give off a green like aura, green electricity right before earthquakes, giving people time, to go back in the house and tell people, hey man, everybody needs to get out of these buildings because all the buildings are stone. Get all these buildings, man, get out, go stand in the courtyards. That's why they had all these big courtyards. And when the earthquake's over, everybody's safe because no stones fell on them, and they can go back to sleep. They probably had night watchmen that used to watch these things. So I also heard another theory that these spheres right before an earthquake would also sing. I don't know if that's true or not. But this is huge. This thing here, 7-foot diameter, and yet Any 2 points opposite of each other are always the exact same distance. That's impossible by human standards. No one, no matter how gifted you are, with a hammer and chisel could ever produce this. This was done by a machine. This is a famous picture. It has since been destroyed. But this is a famous statue in Guatemala that definitely shows a Caucasian. Many people have gone back to find it. It's just like in Glen Rose, Texas, those 2 uniformitarian scientists were listening to a presentation by a creationist, and he was showing photos, real photos of the dinosaur footprints in the Paluxy River Basin and human footprints, and then showed the human footprints over the dinosaur footprint, showing that they coexisted and that the Paluxy River Basin was fossilized. They couldn't deal with that. The very next week, those 2 scientists went out to Glen Rose, Texas. They went to the Paluxy River, found that print, got a crowbar and a hammer, and they destroyed it. They destroyed it. Every bit of this is documented. They destroyed it. They couldn't have it. This is the guy that found the crystal skull. Mitchell Hedges, 1930s. His position was Atlantis was no myth, but it was the cradle of the American races. I can't doubt that. Monument 13 from La Venta. This is the Americas. This is right there where the giant spheres were later by a different culture were carved into giant African faces. But this guy's definitely not African. Look at him. He's got a beard. He looks Semitic. Headdress. This is Acambaro again, showing more of the Acambaro, Mexico artifacts from the vapor canopy cycle. Some of the giant creatures that existed that hunted men during the vapor canopy period. I showed this recently. This is a Roman sword with a brontosaurus on it. That's not my theory. That's the theory of the original discoverers. All these are Roman swords found in the Americas. Subterranean Worlds. This is another book where we're drawing some of this information from. The Earth's Other Children. Isn't that something? I wanted to show this because we show the green children of Spain and the green children of Woolpit, England. This talks about other instances where children came out of the force having come from somewhere else. Oh. So the Welsh Chronicle, Giraldus Cambrensis, who also wrote about an American continent before America, this Welsh chronicler wrote down a curious story in the 12th century. He had heard it from his uncle David II, Bishop of St. David's. The bishop told his nephew about an old priest named Elidor, who had once spoken wistfully about his childhood. As a boy, Elidor had been sent to a highly regarded teacher to be educated for the priesthood, but the child was lazy, and the teacher beat him frequently. Finally, Elidor ran away one day when he was 12 and hid in the hollow bank of a stream for 2 days. Growing hungrier by the hour, he looked up and saw 2 small men watching him. One of them said, "If you would like to come with us, we will take you to a very pleasant country where you can play many games." I'm not going to read anymore. These are very Pied Piper of Hamelin, drawing children. It seems like it's always, even this story shows the contract-based nature of our construct. That we have to engage in order to be tricked, in order to be disenfranchised, in order to fall victim to certain things. We have to be tricked, but once we engaged, we're locked in. It's like a contract-based type reality. It's very deceitful. Though they didn't abduct him, they asked him to participate. It's like the vampire that shows up on your front doorstep, and you've got garlic hanging over the deal. Vampire can't go in your house, but if you invite him in, he's immune to all your protections. So, an illustration of Elidor and the small men from the cavern world. Dark elves were rough, crude-looking, earthy beings. Goblins from George MacDonald's The Princess and the Goblin. It's a really interesting book I have here on this underworld. I've been flipping through it. A 19th century engraving of a kobold. They inhabited the caves of Europe. A 19th century illustration of gnomes terrorizing a miner. He's getting somewhere. A Chinese one-horned mountain spirit who dwelt among the rocks and caves. It's Chinese, all right. The Tatzelworm, a dragon from Germanic folklore as described by Athanasius Kircher. So there's only been one single surviving manuscript of Beowulf in the world, but Beowulf has dragons and giants and the Grendels. Beowulf, the whole story of Beowulf seems to unfold right after a vapor canopy period. And they're cleaning out the monsters. So this is the Great Sphinx from the north. Looks impressive. Look at the size of the paws, but the paws are bricks. They're later constructions. The originals were destroyed or they're already decayed. This is the stele of Thutmose III right here. It's got an inscription that explains that the Sphinx was built during the era of the children of Set, pre-flood world. This is not the original head. This is actually added stone. This is a part of the neck. This is originally a part of the neck. I've showed this in a video with the measurements. Do you see the size of this body? The head should be way up here. This would have been Anubis. But instead, after the cataclysm, all they had left was this stump, which was a neck. This stump was all that was there for this giant body. So they carved the whole head and headdress out of this stump. But there's no way that little bitty head represents this giant body. This head should be way bigger. After the cataclysm, they put a human face on it. The original was Anubis. Curious flywheel right here. I had a little exchange with Jay Anderson of the Unity Project on Twitter. I seen him post this, and I saw his description was that anytime the establishment can't identify something, they always call it a ritual object. This is something I told you guys exactly 2 months ago, showing this exact thing and giving that exact example that they always call them ritual objects. So I sent him a message on Twitter this morning. That's I think it's Jay Anderson, maybe something else, but it's the Unity Project. He recently went to Egypt. He takes a bunch of pictures and asks a lot. He's not really a researcher per se. He seems to be a photographer who visits places and asks pretty much the appropriate questions. But when I saw it, I was kind of triggered. I was like, damn, I said that exact same thing on that exact same object, because I was explaining on the U parts, technological artifacts from the old world. They're all called ritual. They're all called ritual objects. So I asked him, I said, hey, Jay, do you watch Archaix presentations? because this is exactly what I said, and I said it in reference to that exact artifact. And he got back with me in 5 seconds. I have never had, not even you guys, respond to my comments that fast. But man, when I asked him that, he got back to me within 5 seconds. It kind of shocked me. I was about to move on, and I looked and said, damn. So I addressed it, and he said, no, man. He says, he was very respectful. He says, man, as a matter of fact, I don't take this the wrong way, but I've never heard of you. I've never seen any of your presentations. I've never followed you. I don't know. And that kind of set me back. He could have just said, no, man. And I'm cool with it because I'm a simulationist, and I believe that these things are in the field at the same time, and that multiple different minds can tap into the same substrate of thought that's out there. I've talked about this a lot, but he kind of put me off. That seemed a little aggressive to me. You've never heard of Archaix? Several people have dropped J of the Unity Project to me, and some of those people said that they've tried to get many other people like J of the Unity Project to talk to me, and that he just came back instantly. I've never heard of you. I've never seen your presentation. I've never watched any of your videos. Says, wow, okay. I went ahead. I was very polite about it. I just moved on, but yeah, it's kind of very difficult for me to believe concerning how many detractors, how many haters I have that you haven't watched Archaix presentations, man. Yeah, I'm not. You know what? Whatever. He's not the first to claim that, and then we went back and did videos and just showed item and yeah. It's people. I don't know why people take me for a fool. I don't know why. I know Billy Carson did, Graham Hancock did, Jimmy Corsetti did, Matt LaCroix did. I think Randall Carlson does. That remains to be seen. But yeah, man. I don't know. I just don't get it. I would have just said, no, bro, I ain't borrowing nothing from you, man. I'm here. I took that in Egypt. Cool. Nothing more needed to be said. Let's see. So this is Akhenaten. Akhenaten is very interesting. We've already talked about him a lot. Manuel Velicassi's written a book about him. I want to focus on the face because this is the enigmatic face of Akhenaten. It may not be so enigmatic when you take into consideration that among the royalty back then, there was a lot of inbreeding, just like royalty up until the last 300 years. A lot of inbreeding has been going on. So I don't know. His unusual visage has been the subject of a lot of ancient aliens type stuff. Oh, he's an alien. I'm not buying that shit. I'm not buying that at all, man. F off. Gold tablet found in Cuenca, Ecuador. This was gold. Shows a structure here. Pretty interesting. Animal at the top. Not sure why it's there. These look like pyramids back here. Sun at the top. Here's some other animals. An elephant in Ecuador. That is an elephant. That looks like to be a star. Not sure what that is. This is a little bearded guy. Right here. Representation of a Pooh. A reputed dwarf builder of the Lowland Caves. This is ancient America. Wow. This is among the Maya in the Lowland Caves. So the ancient Maya believed in a race of dwarves as well. And they were bearded and they lived in the underworld. This is a cave right here in the Maya districts, Central America. This is the Lowland Caves, and it's a statue of a giant jaguar. Why? What did I show you in yesterday's video about the jaguar? The jaguar is the Maya. That's the Mayan totem animal for the underworld. And here's one in a cave in the underworld, giant statue. How you know it's a giant statue? Look at that little bitty dude right there. It even says giant statue. Another one of the books, Mysteries from Forgotten Worlds, Charles Berlitz. I have many of his books. Here's another book that we've taken some information out of, Mushrooms and Mankind, the Impact of Mushrooms on the Human Consciousness and Religion. This book is sold by the Book Tree in San Diego. What is this? Oh, these are Cretans. These are statues from the island of Crete, or Etruscans. Oh, these are Etruscans of Italy. Look at that, very sophisticated, very great artwork. Yeah, it's Etruscan. They look very Minoan to me, like from Crete. Oh, Jesus depicted with the hood of a mushroom. That's a mushroom hood right there. You've been gaslit to believe that some of these pictures are a halo. They put a halo over there. Now it's look at the lines. That is a mushroom hood. Here's Jesus depicted as a mushroom growing out of a tub. Mushrooms were harvested for their medicinal, for their entheogen, their hallucinogenic deals, medicinal, all that. These are all sacred pillars that are designed to look like mushrooms. Look at this. Hari holding up a divine mushroom. You can imagine the size and potency of vapor canopy mushrooms. Jesus, Lord of the Mushrooms. So Barry Fell, who is the president of the American Epigraphic Society. I have his whole collection. It was donated to the Archaix library. Can't even buy them no more. Starts in the 1970s, goes all the way to the early 90s. Huge collection of all the strange things that have been found in the Americas. And I have yet to do any videos on these yet. I'm going to. But in one of his books called Saga America, Barry Fell, who got famous when he wrote America BC. These are all Roman coins that have been found in North America. Look at these Roman coins. These have all been found in North America. Columbus, Georgia, found in a garden in Columbus, Georgia. A coin of Constantine the Great, Sol Invictus, right here. Found in an Indian mound in Texas. What? Constantine the Great, the one who put the Bible together? Constantine the Great over there in Europe? And the coin was found in an Indian mound in Texas. How'd that happen? More Roman coins found in the Americas. Roman artifacts. All these are Roman artifacts found in Indian mounds. This is all before the Dark Ages, guys. This is the 4th century AD. It's like the Romans were trying to get the hell out of that area over there right before the Dark Ages started. All right. Let's see. More Roman artifacts found in North American sites. It's amazing. It's amazing, guys. Look at these dates. 300 to 400 year old forest trees. Let's see. Okay, Antoninus is 138 to 161 AD. 79 AD. An oil lamp of Pompeian manufacture. What the hell? This is amazing to me because none of these are Dark Ages dates. It means there was intercourse with the Americas before the Dark Ages kicked in and the new vapor canopy appeared. I'm telling you, the new vapor canopy from the great Justinian darkness all the way up to the late 880s to the 930s, total stasis. The entire world went into they went into survival mode. All these sword blades, amphoras, all this Roman artifacts, Coptic artifacts. Coptic are North African Egyptian Christians. Libyan artifacts, all found in the Americas, in Michigan. What? How did that happen? In Massachusetts, Roman artifacts in Massachusetts. In New Hampshire, in Fayetteville, Tennessee, coins, daggers, inscriptions, all Roman. What? Look at all these examples of writing from Europe and the Mediterranean found in North America. Here's more examples of writing found in North America. It is crazy. Here's more. More coins. Look at these combs. Combs were made in the Mediterranean area during Trajan's reign, but they ended up in Indian burial mounds. What is going on? Look at all this. Okay, this is a Mediterranean practice. Putting a coin in the mouth of the dead. Yeah. See, some cultures would put a knife, a small dagger, on the chest of the dead. Some cultures put a knife and a coin, and it was great symbolism. Pirates did it too. It probably goes back thousands of years, but the idea was this. The knife is to fight the others when you get to the gates to the other side. So, I'm sorry, that's not it. I'm sorry. The coin was to pay for passage through the gates to the other side. But the knife was your insurance in case the coin was not enough. There's always a bunch of people at the gates trying to prevent you to get to the gate to the other side. That's right. The coin was to buy your purchase through the gate, and you took the knife if the coin was not enough. That's some Viking shit there. All these Mediterranean, Roman, Libyan, Cypriot artifacts found in North America. Wow. It's amazing. All this stuff is European, found in North America. All European stuff found in North America. In Wyoming. What is it all doing in Wyoming? All found in North America. Look at it. Don't even know what some of this is. Oh, look at that. Archaix, Archaix, 1780. Man, I need to go back and look at that book and find out why that coin's there. It must have been found somewhere in the United States that hadn't been developed yet, so it made it a mystery, 1780. All this found in North America. These are all Mediterranean, Roman, Libyan, Coptic artifacts. Found in Ohio. It's crazy. This was found in 1962 in Big Bend National Park, Texas. Right here. Seems to be a prayer. Heal us. Ahura Mazda. Wow, this is Persian. It's crazy. All right. Some more interesting things. All found in North America. North African Greek of the Byzantine period, found in Cripple Creek, Colorado. It says, herein is the last resting place of Pallidus, the servant of God. Oh, man. Somebody took the time to make his homeboy a headstone. Another memorial stone. These are found in Maine. In a swamp. Interesting. All this is North America too. Look at these elephants. This thing says Caesar on it. Probably says Kaiser. 47 BC. It's got elephants on. What is this stuff doing in the Americas? What? This is where all this came from. Saga America, Barry Fell. Look at this. Crazy in North America. Look at this. That's a Stegosaurus. These animals lived 135 million years ago. Let the evolutionist, natural selectionist, and uniformitarian say it. Or you can review all the Archaix data and come to the same conclusion. The last vapor canopy period that produces all these changes in reptiles and amphibians and in humans and in mammals and creates megafauna and large creatures and veritable jungles and a whole high pressure marine environments was 15 centuries ago. This is gold. Oh no, this is a copper plate. I've got some pictures of gold ones. I've already showed them, I think. Isn't this interesting? That's a pyramid. Looks like it's got something, a winged creature on the top of it. Just weird. Just weird. That is a definite pyramid with an eye at the top of it. What is this doing in the ancient Americas with these two giant lions right here on the side and these plants and an elephant on the bottom right? And there's writing along the base of the pyramid. There's some type of symbols on the base of the pyramid. The pyramid has casing blocks. The pyramid has a damn eye at the top of it. This is an ancient America. South America, to be precise. What in the hell is going on? Told you guys, our world is not what you think. We have been lied to. This is a solid gold pyramid relief. All this is gold. The skeleton of a bison from the Neolithic can be seen in the Museum of Paleontology in Moscow. The hole in the skull could only have been made by a firearm. Who on earth possessed firearms in 8000 BC? There's that 8000 BC again. What did I tell you guys? Leaky, she effed everything up. And because they don't have a better way of covering their tracks, the scientific community borrowed Leakey's theory on pre-pottery Neolithic and post-pottery Neolithic. And now anything that's found and there's no pottery around, they just say it's 8000 BC. Like Göbekli Tepe. It's so dumb. It's just so dumb. Got my ranting out of the way. Did a bunch of ranting today. That is the third video in this series. We're going to be doing several more. I just wanted to knock these. The first two videos were both 3 hours and 15 minutes. This one is a little bit less, 2 hours and 15 minutes or so. But these are this is a really good introduction. Soften it up for everybody. get everybody remembering, man, that this whole uniformitarian crap's BS. Before we have Flat Earth Dave come on Monday, which is tomorrow, and we're going to chop it up with him because I'm a simulationist, and talking about our human experience, unfolding on a flat plane is right up my alley. I'm all for it because it's exactly what a systems developer would need in order to create a believable environment. You got to start on a flat plane first and then build from there. And it'd be really easy to put a dome over that, a completely programmed dome, a multi-tiered holographic template above that mimics curvature, and all movement would then be in the sky, but it would make you feel like you were moving. Yeah, man. Matt Kubas, thank you. He ain't getting that $5, man. I'm keeping that. Man, I appreciate you guys spending more time with me. Got my rants out for the day. I'll post the Flat Earth Dave video tonight. But right now, I am getting kind of hungry. Yeah, this is a pretty good presentation. We showed a lot. A lot of good stuff in there. We got a lot more to share. The mind mushroom. Yeah, man, the mushroom stuff's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. All right, guys. Thank you, moderators. And remember, if you're looking for anything, if you're looking for anything in particular, just go to archaix.com, go to resources, and under resources, you can't help but run into it. You're going to run into the AI search feature. You can find stuff. Anyway, love you guys. I'll talk to you later. I'm going to find me a good outro video real quick. Laters.